Okay, let me get things out of the way here. And let's flip through this journal really quickly. So I did finish it. And you know what? I got on a roll and it was just so much fun that I just kept going. And, it was just, and the thing about this one too is that you're using a lot of gnomes and mushrooms. And once you color one, like you just get it, you get it down. And then they're just so much easier to do. So you kind of get on a roll a little bit. So here's where we were last week. We did these first two pages and the cover. And I said I might add something to it, just because I always do. And I added these little bugs. So these little guys are from, did I get them all out of here? I think I did. Yes, I did. So these little guys are from, let me show you what they're from. They're from the Mushroom Cubby set. So this one right here. And they come with the dies. So the dies all come that cut them out. And they come with this little mushroom house. Isn't that cute? And they're really cute little whimsical bugs. And they're big. So they make the little gnomes look small, which is what we're trying to do. So look how small this house looks with this giant little caterpillar. So I just colored some of these, and you could, I put one right here onto the little sign. Here's the cute little ladybug, and then of course the little bees. They're so cute with their cute little faces, and I love this caterpillar. This might be my favorite one. I just love it. So you know what? I couldn't decide where to put them. There were so many places that could go that I thought, how fun would that be just to put them in a little pocket, and you could just get them out and just look at them. I don't know. I just thought that would be a really fun idea. I've never done that before. And, partly because I couldn't decide where to put them. But you could, if you were giving this to someone, that would be a fun thing for them to do. Just kind of put those little bugs and insects, wherever they want to put them. And that would be a really fun thing to do. So I added those little guys. And then I added this. I didn't add anything to this page. This one was pretty well finished. We're going to do, so we got through here last time. We're going to do this page and this page in the journal today. So we're going to kind of work our way through these, and then we're going to assemble it in the other journal. So we started assembling the first pages and the cover in the other journal. So we're just going to continue on with that one. And just keep going. So this is what we're doing today. This tutorial, this one, this page, and this one. So then I just kept going, and I added this little tag here. Now this tag, this is so great if you're using this fence, because the little stamp that accompanies it, so there are two. One cuts the opening, and then one cuts the little fence that goes over the opening. And that little one that cuts the opening, because you have to have 3 layers of paper. So 1, the actual page, is 2, and then 3 on the back. You have to have all 3 of these glued together before you can add it to your journal. So like this. And then you cut out the opening, then you add it to your journal. Okay, just like this. Well, that opening makes the cutest little tag, and it's really heavy. And it's just so cute. So I just have to use it. I just tied a little, string on it, made another little simple, little tag, and just made a cute little thinking of you tag just to put in the pocket. So just a double use for that little, opening. I added one of the little bees on here. I just couldn't help it. I had to make one just for these flowers because I just thought that would be so cute. And this little guy, he's just sleeping by the pot. This is one stamp, by the way. This one with the little pot. These two come together, and they work great. You can put whatever you want in this pot. Absolutely anything. This little guy, I set him on a chair. So this little chair is from one of our older sets. But he fits on there so cute, and I've got him surrounded by these big blooms, so he looks really small, and he's just taking a nap because, life is short. Make it sweet. Love that. So this sentiment actually came together, and I just cut it, kind of stamped one and then stamped the other and just spread it out on my page because I thought that would just be really cute to do. So then in this page, look how cute this border, simple border is. You know, I like to include a border because I don't want you to ever forget that a border is super easy and simple to do and simple to add, and it makes a great pocket. So I always try to add some sort of border or some sort of wreath in the journals that I make, just as a reminder. And I used one of the little tiny ones and one of the regulars. This is a smaller one of the mushrooms. And of course, when I go through this, you know, and do the tutorial, I'll go over all of this again with you. But this is about the simplest, you know, border I think I've ever made. I literally stamped this twice, stamped this little one 3 times. I put a few little leaves in here and a branch, and I mean, it was good to go. So absolutely just so simple. And then over on this page, I put this little guy asleep down here. Now this little mushroom, this is from the other mushroom set. So it has the little pixies that come with it. I should have pulled that out so I could show it to you. But it has a much bigger mushroom, but it's very similar in style to these. So they work great together. And so I wanted to kind of do that. I wanted to show you that these two sets go great. So if you have this already, you have now more things that you can put together with this one. And I thought it was just perfect size to tuck this little guy under. He's taking a little nap in the shade and just sound asleep. So then I had to get out this set. This is the little fairy set, and I love this too. This is a fairy cubby set. This came out a little while ago. It also comes with these little fairies and this little fairy house, and it comes with all the dies that cut them out. So you can see how well used this is. I stamped all these, and I cut them out, and again, I couldn't decide where to put them because they can absolutely fit anywhere. Look how cute they are. They're just so cute. I mean, you could put these little guys literally anywhere, these little fairies. They're just absolutely the cutest, and they work great. They work great with these little mushrooms. You know, you can chuck one in here. This little girl, she can sit, you know, up here. I mean, they can just go anywhere, and even with the gnomes. So, you know, you've got this. Where's that little girl sitting? We can sit her right up here. Look how tiny she is compared to that gnome. She's just little, just a little fairy. So you can use these together, and especially if you're not a huge gnome fan, like I said in the very first tutorial, I had to warm up to these guys. It took me a long time because I thought, oh, this is never going to last. These funny looking creatures with a giant beard and a big head. I didn't get it. And I thought, oh, this is going to be such a passing trend. And people just loved them. And so I had to warm up to them. And I got to say that they've endeared themselves to me. And I did love making them, but I also love these guys, these little pixies. And so they're just so cute. They can just go anywhere, flying anywhere. So there are, I think, 5 or 6 of these in that set. And of course you could stamp them over and over again too and get twice as many and just change up the hair color maybe or the little dress. You could change that all up. And then I tucked them in this little envelope, and I thought it would just be really, really cute to get them out and, you know, just look at them and decide where you want to put them. Or you can just leave them in the little envelope. So this is not part of the gnome set, but I also wanted to show you that you could take things that you already have. So this little picture is from another set. Now, it doesn't have a top. I just hand drew that in. I mean, literally a dome with a little round circle on it. That's it. And this, a little arc, just a little arch that goes into the little pot. And like I said, I'll go over all of that with you in the tutorial. We'll do some pencil drawing, and I'll show you exactly how to make that. But you can see it's so easy. It's just so simple. So I created a little door, and you can add other whimsical things to your little journal. It doesn't have to be just gnomes only. So, and then I love these little slide outs. I divided this sentiment too. Little moments make big memories. How cute is that? I thought that was just so appropriate with these little tiny fairies. Little moments, big memories. How cute. So then on this page, I'm absolutely in love with these little notebooks. I don't know. You're probably going to see a notebook like this in every journal because number 1, they're so easy to make. Number 2, they're such a great place to write a little message. You know, if it's to somebody, you just want to write a little message, you know, more than just thinking of you. Thank you for being my friend over all the years. You know, the older I get, the more I appreciate you and realize the value of having these special people in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like something really special that you want to add to this journal, because something like this that you give away is a treasure for someone. It's a treasure. It is a treasure because of the art that you put in it. And it's a treasure because it's a one of a kind. There are not going to be two like it on the planet. It's a one of a kind. And it's made special for this person that you are thinking so highly of. And so you can write a special little message. Now I put about 4 pages in here. But, you know, if you want to write a longer message, by all means, absolutely do that. And I just had so much fun making that. I just think it's just the cutest thing and just so fun to do. All right, on this page, so this little girl, she is from the Angel set. So it's this one right here. And I just left the wings off. These are a great little size for these pixies or these gnomes, and the pixies too. The pixies too, because they would be so cute with one of these little girls. You know, the little one flying, so she could be looking up and seeing the little one flying. They would be so cute. So you can see the size here from this little girl to this little gnome. They're just a really good size together. And so I wanted to include that in there, and especially since it comes with a sentiment that says friends no matter what. And I mean friends. That's what they are. So I just inked her up and just left the wings off. And I had this cute little girl. Now, if you can see on here where her eye is, you see that little tiny eyelash? If you angle that up a little bit, if you take your marker and just angle it up, now you've directed her eye up. So wherever you angle, this little eyelash is where her eyes are looking. So I've angled that down a little bit. She's looking directly at this little gnome's eyes. I mean, if he has eyes under his cap. So that's how you can direct, you know, where the vision is. Same with this girl. She's looking straight up. See that angle on her, that angle of her eyelash? That directs her eye upwards. And it's the same with this one. So I use this one. But how cute would any of these be? This one would be so cute too. Maybe with a little flying one. So cute. So, you know, keep those things in mind always, because there are a lot of things that you have already that you can incorporate into a little whimsical journal like this. And then this little butterfly, it's from this set too. So how many bugs are in here? Let's just look. So two little bees, front and back. There's a back and a front side. The little snail, the caterpillar, the dragonfly, the little ladybug, and the butterfly. So there are several, and they all come with dies to cut them out. So I just folded this little guy in half and put him up here, again, to dwarf these little guys. And then on the back, I just set this little gnome. You see how small he is in something like this? So, you know, when I made these, I really kind of paid careful attention to the sizing of them, so that they would go with things that you have. And especially things like this bucket. I just think this is a perfect size for him because he's small. He's obviously very small to fit up inside here. And, you know, I included the little berries and, you know, the blackberries and the strawberries. And, you know, you can put anything up in here. You can put him down on the ground too. They'd be so cute. And this little guy, so he is from this little insect set, the birds and the bug set, and they also come with dies. So these guys can also fit perfectly with this guy too. Now they're a little smaller than these bugs, but they absolutely can work with him because they're so big compared to these little gnomes. And they would be really big compared to these little girls, these little pixie girls. So mix and match, you know, every page doesn't have to be the same. They could all be different. as far as a different theme. So, I've got these little fairies on one page. I mean, I've always got gnomes over here on this one, but they can all be intermixed. And then, I've gotten into the habit of just doing something on the back side, because by the time I'm done, I'm not ready to be done. I just, you know what? I feel like, it's over already. It's kind of like, it's done and I have to close it up. No, I just gotta find another space to put something. So I did this last one really quickly and then added this little bee to it. But I had so much fun. I think it turned out great. So in the next, in the recorded tutorials, it'll be this center page. And I think, I might try to do this one with it, either that or I'll include it with this one too. So I'll get all of these in and then into the next two tutorials, and then also assemble it in the journal. So I'll show you exactly what I'm using, to cut out all of these pages. And then of course I'm using the paper pack, the absolutely cutest paper pack for this project. So here's all the things that come in it. These are all double-sided. They're very small. Look how cute these little strawberries are. This is one of my favorites. But all of these things go really well together. They're small. The patterns are small, so they don't compete with the art. Even if it's a small little watercolor, the patterns aren't going to compete with that and sort of, overshadow the watercolor in there. They're just kind of to enhance the page and bring it all together. And then if you notice on here, all the colors are warmed up. So the backgrounds are all warmed up. And that kind of goes along with that whimsical look. That warm blue for the sky, the warm reds. It's just it kind of adds to the whole theme of that whimsical look. So I love this paper pack so much. The other thing about this is it's 80 pound and it doesn't crack. So, it has a bit of a gloss on it. It's not terrible. It has a bit of a gloss on it, but it is the best paper for these journals because it makes them really substantial. The pages are really substantial. They're heavyweight. It feels like a book. It really does. I love that about it. I'm really attached to this weight now of paper, especially when it comes to these little frames and things that we're putting in here. So I'm just a huge fan of it. I love it. I actually love that gloss a little bit. I think it just adds to the charm of it. And of course, Joel, he absolutely knocked it out of the park with this set. I just absolutely love it. It is just the cutest. So I am using this exclusively. Other than the cover, which is just craft paper. So I have a big sheet of craft paper. It's probably also 80 pound, I would guess. If anybody wants to know that, it could even be 100 pound. I mean, it's pretty heavy weight. And I do that because these things are loaded with stuff and it has to hold up, and with mine, I'm opening and closing them a million times. And so will the person that you give it to. They're going to close it and open it 100 times and just look through it and just see everything that you've put in it, all your little messages and tucked in all of your little, extra little tags and secret little compartments. And it's just so fun. So this is the first thing that we're using, obviously, is this color pack. Now it comes in the bundle. So the bundle is still available. We do that so that if you want to make this journal, you can get a break on the cost of everything that is in it. So the bundle is, the 7 pieces. So it's the paper pack, it's the mushroom set, it's the gnome set that comes with dies. So this set comes with dies that cut out all of these little gnomes. All of them come with a die. The sentiments that have all the little things, treasure the little things, which also would be so cute with the little fairies. It comes with little berries, the set, the big whimsical flowers, these, and then the little fairy houses, these 2. So 7 things that come in the bundle, and it is a substantial discount if you want to make this journal and you just want to get everything. You just need everything to make it. So if you want to do that, you can get a discount on that, or you can get everything individually if you want to as well. That's totally up to you. Okay, so we are ready to get going here. We're going to do the watercolor projects first, and then we will assemble everything into the journal. So here's what I did, and I, just for time's sake, I stamped these little guys on my watercolor paper, and then they will glue together. Do you see how tight that die is? It really matters. See how tight that die is against the line? It has to fit perfectly, and I'm just, I'm just a stickler about that. Some things I'm just really OCD about, and when it comes to these kinds of things, especially things that go in a journal, I really, I want them to look like they just fit in there, and they're not cut out. So you can see how close they fit to that line. So we're going to color him, and then we're going to glue him together, his front and back. And then this little scene, so here's that little scene. Let me just show you what it looks like next to the stamped image, because it's just, to me, always amazing where we start and where we end up. So we start here, and who would ever think we could end up here with this full scene? It's just absolutely magic to me and so fun. I never get over it. I never get tired of it. I love creating new things, and I love seeing the joy in people when they can do it. And, it's one of those techniques that really is for everyone. It really is. It's so simple. So we're going from this to this. Now you can see in here, this is a simple scene. So this is what I'm using here, is this little basic simple scene. So it's the 5376. You probably have this if you have any of the simple scenes. This is the one that I always recommend you buy first, because it's so versatile, and I use it all the time. So I cut out this little watercolor paper that I thought would fit perfectly on here. I used a rectangle die. Let me tell you what size it is. It is 2 1/4 inches wide by 3 1/2 inches long. So 3/8 by 2 1/4. And that is the size of the rectangle. Now what I did was I just sort of eyeballed it, but I went around, and I think this is probably about 1/4 inch. Yep. Or is that an 1/8? That's not 1/4. That's an 1/8. A little bigger than an 1/8. Between an 1/8 and, let's see. Yeah, it's just a tad bit bigger than an 1/8. Just a little, but like I said, I eyeballed it. I like this white border around the edge. I think that really frames it, as opposed to bringing everything clear to the edge. So I tend to do that. Now that's up to you. If you like it to go clear to the edge, there's certainly nothing wrong with that. It's just what your preference is. But I like to leave a border. So I penciled this in this line, and then I'm going to add my tape to it, and then that's when I would stamp in my simple scene and this little house. And I did it backwards this time. I just stamped it, and then I put the little house in, and then I cut it out. So then I took my eraser. I just took my sand eraser and erased off the lines that kind of went over. But in retrospect, it's much easier to, just cut this or outline it, and then stamp all your images in, once you've covered your little border. And I'm pretty sure that's how I did this one. And then I stamped the simple scene in first, and then I just left off the bottom. So if you look at what it looks like in the set, here's what it actually looks like. See the bottom? It's got the bottom on here. I just left this whole line off so that it could kind of tuck down underneath here and be in back of this little hill. I wanted it to look like it was kind of, back behind here, not sitting on top. It always feels to me like these little whimsical things are just kind of hidden. They're hidden in little valleys and, behind little things, and they're just in a cozy little place. So I like to give that impression by tucking them behind things like this. So, I just kind of left that off, and then I just stamped it, in kind of behind here. And then we're going to add foliage and whatnot in here too. So only 2 things. This one I stamped in that really, really light, let me tell you what it is. So this is what I use, the N89. It looks like it has no color at all, but it has just the right amount because we don't want a really dark line in here. We just need a guideline. We need a guideline as to where the path actually is going and where the hills are. And once we can see that, we can add our foliage and everything in to kind of go along with this. So we just need a guide. And that's really what it is. We're going to be stamping over it, and we don't want to fight with a bunch of lines. So N89 is what I used, and then I just stamped it, inked the whole thing, stamped it because I've covered, all of these little areas, and I'm not going to stamp over that. And that'll be the easiest way to do it. And then this one, I stamped in the two colors. So the dark blue first, the 565, and then the dark brown, the 969. So those two, stamped it off twice, 2 times on here, and then stamped it in here. And it's clear, so you don't need a positioner. If you're stamping it on here, you can see exactly where it's going. So that's how I did that. Obviously this little guy, we're going to color him. And then these 2 little florals, I love stuff like this. I love these simple little pages, especially when you've got something that's really, really busy going on here. We've got this whole scene back behind the fence. And by the way, this paper, do you see this paper that has a wood grain? That's in the paper pack, and it works perfect for this little fence. It absolutely works perfect. It's light enough that it doesn't overshadow everything and draw your eye directly to a dark brown fence. It's light. And so, but you can see the wood grain in it. So it sort of gives you that impression, oh, this is a wood fence. So it's in your paper pack, and it's an absolutely great paper, especially for stuff like this. I love it. Anything that you're doing that's, maybe a window or, a square with a frame, you could use that paper with. It's just so cute. So a simple page is really a good way to enhance this. And it's sort of like when we did the journal with the scenic foundations, how we made the opposite page kind of like a spotlight, like you're zooming into something in this scene, and you're kind of zooming into it, and you're seeing it by itself. So it goes with this, but it's separate. It's just a little tiny section, and it really makes a nice combination. It really does. It sort of draws everything together. It brings your eye together, and this isn't something that is totally opposite, especially since you can see through it. It's not something totally opposite than what we've done here. So again, these are just things that I kind of pay attention to when I'm making these things, and I love that things flow. And even if you don't really, the person that you're giving it to doesn't really notice all of those details, they do notice that it flows, and there's something really special about that when things kind of go together. That's why I like simple colors. I love paper packs that go with these things because it keeps everything sort of connected. And every page is totally different, but they all still connect. They all do. So that's kind of where I was going with this page, to be able to see that through here and still get a little spotlight as to what's going on in this more complex scene. Okay, so enough of that chit chat. I'm going to set this aside now, and then I'll show you what else we need for these projects. So the simple scene, the 5376 basic scene, the little mini foliage, we're going to be using this one right here. And then in the little mini flower set, this one, we're going to use this in the background. And then I just picked this too, so you can see in here these little flowers that sort of, come in between the little mushroom caps. I didn't want to overwhelm them with a lot of blooms in here. I just kind of wanted to accentuate, that there was something else growing in there. So I picked a smaller flower like this, just to kind of add, a little charm to it. But here's the focal point, are these little mushrooms. So I picked something small purposely, and since I was using this set, I just picked this one. But honestly, it doesn't matter what long stem you pick. You could pick any long stem, or you could just leave grass in there too, or some vines. There's no exact right way to do any of this. It's just whatever for me, A lot of times it's what I grab, just what I grab. This one because I picked this one because it's bigger as far as in the background. It's a little bit more condensed as far as stamping it in a small area. So I picked this one, the right side and the left side, and those are the ones that we're going to be using in those small little compositions. The grass. We need the grass. Absolutely. We'll be needing the grass from that set. And then foliage set 4. So I picked this bigger leaf. It's what is kind of closing in the little scene. So it's this area here. And it brings everything in. If you don't have this, everything is kind of open in the background and you don't know what's back here. But this closes everything in. It makes you feel like there's a tree growing right here. It's hanging over. And this is all just kind of, a little closed in area where this little mushroom house is. It's all just, the idea of things, which is just what makes it so fun. So we're going to be using that broader leaf, little branch, and then the accent grass. So the left and the right of the accent grass, doesn't matter which one you use, either or both. Okay, so now we are getting to our project, you guys. So let's start out with these simple ones. Now I use that little simple frame that has the little curved edge on it, and I stamped it or I ran it through watercolor paper, and then I get the frame and I get the watercolor, the actual size of the image. So you know that you've got the exact size that's going to fit into the frame. So if you just cut them both out, you can also cut the frame out on a contrasting paper too if you want to, something that's a pattern. You could do that too. But I always cut the whole thing out on my watercolor paper, and then I know my little canvases are going to fit inside there just perfectly. All right, so these are just, these are the simplest little things to make, and they're just really fun. So we're going to start out with our little mushrooms. These two little guys, they're the smallest ones in the set. One kind of goes to the right, and one kind of goes to the left. So we're going to stamp them like this. And then we're going to add our little florals to them. So let me just zoom in a little bit so that you can see up a little closer. And then I'm going to ink these just with the dark brown. I will stamp them off though. So I'm just going to use a piece of, a scratch piece of watercolor paper. And I'm just going to ink this one time, stamp it off, and then I'm going to kind of just stamp it into the middle of my little canvas. So just like that. And this one goes to the left. So I'm going to stamp this one over on this side. So one kind of on the right, one kind of on the left. And I'm going to do the same thing with the dark brown. And I'm going to just stamp it off. And then I'm going to stamp these guys kind of over here. And I just, I leaned it over a little bit. I mean, it's totally up to you. You could even take just these two small ones if you want to, or this one by itself. They would be great used individually too. All right, so let's go ahead and add some color to these, and then we'll add our florals in. So we're going to start out, I'm going to use my number 4 brush, and I'm going to just pull the color out of the lines. Now, with these mushrooms, you don't have to do anything else to them except pull the color out of the lines on the stem. The stems are just fine as they are, so they really don't require anything else. We're just kind of pulling that color out just like that. They're kind of a light, they're more of a neutral color. So we don't really have to do anything else. Now the red, I'm using the 856. This one right here. And I'm just going to add some color now to these little caps. And I didn't really pull the color out of the lines. I mean, they're so small that it really doesn't matter. And we're going to be adding the little white dots to them. Now I could use my number 1 brush too on this, just to because it's so much smaller. Get into these little details. But you know what? If you don't get it perfect, I mean, that's a cool thing about watercolor too, is it's really, especially stamping, watercolor stamping, it's really forgiving. And, you can always erase things. You got your handy little sand eraser. I can tell you how many times I use that. I use it all the time. I mess up. And, we all mess up. If you guys knew how many times I mess up, I do all the time because I'm always trying like something new and, oh, that doesn't work. Well, I guess this doesn't work. Or maybe if I do it this way, it might work. So you know what? It does build confidence. And sometimes you discover things that are just shockingly awesome. And other times it's in the trash. But that's what makes it fun. It really does. Makes it a challenge. Okay, so I'm going to take a little gray. It doesn't matter what gray, so let me just grab a gray here. And I'm going to put a little gray on my palette. So you probably will want to know what this is. And I just grabbed it. So it's N65. It doesn't matter what gray. Because it's a little grayer under here. And we can just kind of pull this color out. And just add a little gray kind of under the mushroom. And these are, they're so small. They're really tiny. We'll come back and do the white paint after we finish the final project. So I'm going to set these aside once I get them finished, and then we'll come back to them. So I'm going to use my twin tone, my handy twin tone, and I'm going to darken where that stem comes into the cap. And here, where it sort of connects to the stem, because you can see that moves the cap now away from the stem. So we don't want anything to look flat. That's the biggest thing, is we're trying to make everything look three-dimensional. So moving that cap edge away from the stem, that makes a big difference. So here, where that little stem is coming in, that's going to be darker. And this here, so this is in here. In here like that. Okay, so that is pretty much all we have to do with those little guys. And now we can put in our florals. So this one going to the right, we'll put into here. And I just have to stamp these one time, just one time. So I want to make sure that I get enough ink on here. And sometimes sometimes I ink them up and stamp them just to make sure that, I've got them really inked up. Okay, that looks pretty good. So see how much ink I have on the florals there? That's going to be perfect. And I don't want to ink the whole thing because I don't have room for it, on here. So I don't need to ink that whole stem. And I'm just going to stamp this in here just one time. And the same with this one. So let's do the other one. And let's get the stem. And then let's check it over here. Make sure we got, okay, that's good. So I'm going to ink it again. And then get the blue on here. Whoops. And then I'm going to stamp this one just right over here. So I've got one going to the right, one going to the left. And now I can just add a little water to it. Just a tiny bit. I'm just kind of dabbing because I want to still see the little tiny parts of the flowers. So I'm just kind of dabbing it a little bit, adding a tiny bit of water to it. And then just a little bit to these leaves, just to kind of soften them up. And the water, just adding the water to it, it just kind of changes the shape, the look. It just kind of changes everything, really does. All right, so let's add a little blue now to the palette. So this is a 526. This is what I'm using for the sky. I love this warm blue. This might be my absolute favorite color in watercolor, just in general. It's really in everything. So I'm just adding a little bit of blue in the background just to kind of bring it all together. The same with this one. And then, it's just the idea of the sky. So we're just kind of, adding a little color in here, and then we're done. And then we just need to add just, a little bit of grass in here. And this is up to you too. You don't necessarily have to do this either. You don't have to add any grass in here, but it will kind of, bring it all together. So same with this one. And we'll just kind of bring it down like that. And then add some water to it, and done. And that is that. So we're going to set these aside until we finish, and then we'll add the white paint. So now let's get on to our little guy here. We're going to get some color on him. And so we need some red. We need some blue. Let's add a little more red on here for his cap. And if you look at garden gnomes, like they're all different colors. They're so popular that they're literally every color on the rainbow. So you can. I sort of kept it traditional. I don't know why I think that a garden gnome, has a red hat, but I just kind of went with that. And of course I added, favorite blue to it. I had to add that. And then, some brown, but you could do them in greens, and browns, make them a little more earthy looking. It's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. I added a little gray for his boots, but everything else is totally up to you, what colors you want. Okay, so, the flesh tone. So here's the flesh tone that I'm using. It's a 912. This is a new color for us, so I believe we have it in stock now. I'm not sure. Leah can say if we have it in stock now, but I believe we were going to get this one in. So it's a little darker flesh tone. It works great. It works great. So I love this color right now. You can also use the brown. If you don't have this color, you can use the brown and just use it light. Really, we're only doing his hands and his nose. Like literally his nose is the only thing showing on his face. So it's not that urgent that you have this color. It's really not. Okay, so now I'm going to start by pulling the color out of the lines. And I'm just kind of going along here, pulling this out. We're going to add a lot of color to him, so we don't have to do too much of this. The little soles of his feet under here, these little soles will be darker. See how the shadow is under the line on his coat, because that brings his coat forward. It's under the line of his pants because that brings his pants forward. And that's literally how you make these things look realistic and three-dimensional. That's literally the whole trick. Okay, so let's do this one. So now the belt is kind of on the inside because his little coat is kind of billowing out. So the shadow is on the inside. And here the hat is coming over, so the color is under, because that brings that hat forward. Okay, the coat is coming forward, so the shadow is under. We're pulling the color under, and that brings the coat forward. Same with the pants. And then just a little shadow under his little boots. Okay, so we've got that part done. Now we're ready to add the color to it. So let's start with the largest areas. And let's go with the red. Let's go with the dark red. And this is it is a contour, so we do kind of want to see that highlight in the center. It's not as critical because it's not a huge area, and it's not a hard surface. I guess that's how I should say it. It's not a hard surface, like a cone. an actual cone. But if you can get a bit of a highlight in there, it's always going to look better. So let's do this guy now, this hat here. And this sort of, this little area, the highlight is going to kind of be here because, this is a rounded section. And then, it's also going to be up here because this is also kind of a rounded section. And, like I said, it's not that urgent, when it comes to this, because it's not a hard surface. So it's just his hat. And just keep brushing it on. You can make it as dark as you want. You can make it darker, darker on the sides. That will also make it, more contoured. And then we're going to add just a little stripe to it too, just to add a little, detail. Okay, I think we're pretty good there. So let's get this skin tone on. We'll make our way down. So his little nose, is going to have a little highlight on it, just right in the center. And then his little hands. And that's about all the areas where we need the flesh tone. And maybe just a little bit darker under his nose like that. Okay, let's go on to his little coat, and we're going to do that in the blue. So we're just going to brush this on. It's so so much easier to color, especially, in my opinion, when you're using a brush, because you can get it as dark as you want, just by applying more and more coats of color, but you don't get those harsh lines, those harsh brush lines that you do with a marker when you're trying to color direct to paper. It's just always a struggle, or it has been for me, until I started doing it this way. Coloring, it just seems like coloring with a brush is just so much more forgiving. And then, like I said, you can add, you can make it darker by just making another pass, with the color. So darker, under his little hat, under sleeves. And you can, let it dry and then go back to it if you want to maybe make it a little bit darker. So let's go on and let's do his pants. And we're going to do that with this warm brown. And just brush it on. I mean, it's just so simple. And we could actually do his little belt here. Do his little belt brown too. Okay. Looks good. So let's go on, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of this brown into the gray, and let's just do his little boots. And you could leave a little highlight on top too if you want to. And, you know, darker here under his toe, you know, where the sole is going to be. That would be a little bit darker. And back here, these little shoes. Okay. And I'm just going to make his pants just a little bit darker in here. Okay, now let's add a little shadow to his beard since we are leaving it white. And then, you know, he's going to have a little shadow under his nose. And then, you know, where his hat is. Going to have a little shadow there. And this side, really don't have to do too much here. Let's get the twin tone out now. We want to darken his little smile. And just come under here where his hat is and just kind of darken that. And here where his pants going to come over his shoes. Like so. Put those little lines back in. Okay. He is just about finished. Oh, let's put the stripes in his hat. Let's do that. So I'm going to use my bullet tip from the red. And I'm just going to draw in some little stripes. And, you know, they don't have to be perfect. Just kind of follow the lines of his hat. And this one. Okay. All right, we've got him. We've got this little guy finished. So he's going to just be glued together, just like this. And then he can just be glued into our little journal. Isn't he cute? So let's set him aside. And let's get on to our little scene. So this was the fun one. This one was so much fun. So we're going to start out just by adding some color now to this little mushroom house. Or just add some water to it. And then just, you know, pulling the color out of the lines like so. All right, now there's nothing we really have to do with the simple scene. We're going to be stamping a lot of things over the top of it, so we can just leave it as is. So let's go ahead and add the color now to the little mushroom house. And I'm just leaving a little bit of a highlight kind of on the top of the house. You can see where those little cracks are in the roof. We can come back in with the twin tone and really kind of enhance those cracks. And now let's go on and do the little door. And we'll just add a little more color to the little chimney pipe. And I think maybe I'll just make this roof just a little bit more, add a little more red to it. Okay, that looks good. So now let's get in our details with the window, with the little windows. So I'm going to use my twin tone, and we're just going to make these little kind of round, so kind of a straight line, like a pie piece. So think about that, you know, like a little, just like a little pie piece. And just keep working your way around. The little details are just the funnest to do because it changes everything so much. Okay, and then let's put the little doorknob back in. And then let's do these little cracks. So I want to get these little cracks in. And then just you know, if you put a little dark line here, and we'll do a little shadow on here too, it all kind of gives the impression that the door is kind of set back into the little house. Like it's not just right on the front. So we can actually, you know what, let's just do some little details on here. And then maybe just a little hinge. Just a little detail like that. These things, these tiny little things, you really can't make them part of the stamp. You really have to do them after because they just get too muddy. So putting the little details in at the end, it also makes it so much more fun, and it makes it more uniquely yours. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because it's your own edition. And I'm going to add just a little shadow here now too under this roof, and then, you know, in this doorway. Just a little. Okay, there we go. And we're going to add some white now to the top of that mushroom. But for now, let's get all of the florals in. Let's get the mushroom caps in. So let's do this one. So we're going to ink this one just in the brown. And then I'm going to just stamp it off one time. Oh, you know what I need to do that I haven't done? I need to take this off. And you know what? That'll actually keep it from moving around too. So I'm just putting the tape, running the tape, my Post-it tape, just right along that edge. And just covering up all of this area. Okay, so now we can get these in and stamp them all along, kind of along the bottom, and don't worry about them, you know, stamping where they're not supposed to be. So I'm going to ink this up, and it doesn't matter which one you use. That one kind of leans to the right and one kind of leans to the left, but it doesn't matter which one you use. So I'm going to stamp this one. Maybe I'll just stamp this one just in here, like so, and then let's ink it again. And we'll stamp this one maybe over here. And you know, you can see that I got that a little bit light. That's okay. We just take the pencil and just go over it. So if this happens to you, don't ever panic about stuff like this. Just go back over it with your pencil. No one will ever know. They'll never know. And we'll never tell. Okay, so I'm just going to take a couple of these now. And I'm going to get these just kind of right on the bottom. Like so. And then maybe just, you know, one, maybe kind of one up here, and maybe just, I mean, it really, it's just, you know what, we're just kind of making a little grove of mushrooms. So maybe just one over here. Okay, that's perfect. All right, so now let's go ahead and get our foliage into the background, and then we'll add some color to our little mushrooms. So we're going to do that with our little foliage. And where did I put that? Okay, you guys, I just had it. A little foliage, here it is. So this little guy, we're going to use this one. And we're going to add just a little bit of foliage into the background and use our green. So I'm just using this green. I'm kind of using this throughout the 249. I'm just, you know, I'm really partial to it, but you can also mix it up and just use, you know, whatever greens that you want. You could use multiple greens if you want to. So I'm just adding a little bit of this in here in the background. Get this stuff out of the way. It's just in my way. And then let's get this in. So this is going to kind of just come around to the front here. And I don't want too much of it because I've got those little mushrooms kind of in the way. So I'm just adding just some of this in here. And then let's put in our little branches that are just kind of, you know what, let's wait on that. Change my mind. Let's wait on that and let's get the grasses in. So we're going to get these in kind of, you know, just kind of in this area. It's really, you know, not that important what order you go in. And we're just getting greenery in, basically, is what we're doing. So in other words, you can't mess it up. You're putting in leaves, you're putting in, you know, florals. And I'm just kind of following those lines of the simple scene. That's what I'm doing. I'm just following those lines and kind of stamping this where that, so you can see I tucked this little guy right behind here. So cute. And just dabbing. And some of this color, you could just pull it out and just kind of color in the little hills. We're going to add some white paint in here too, you know, because we got to have our little white flowers. And now let's put some of this blue. Let's do the sky because we want to add those large leaves in the background. That's why I wanted to wait and do that after the sky, after I put the sky in. So I'm just brushing this in, this bright blue. This is the 526. Can make it a little darker up here, just a little bit. And, you know, it's okay to add some of this color in because, you know, there could be a reflection from the sky and you know, the greenery all around. So because this little house is white, it's going to kind of pick up those colors. All right, let's get our these little mushrooms colored in. I think I need some more red. I got lots of little mushroom caps. And these, you just color them in. you don't have to be careful about highlights and stuff because we're going to be putting those little white dots on them, polka dots. Color all these in. So cute. And it looks like this little house is just a little mushroom grove. So see, you can see that would have been a disaster if I didn't remember that I hadn't masked off the side. I mean, I hope I would have remembered. Okay, so now I've got this color in here, and oh wait, one more here. It's hard to see where the edge of that tape is, so I might miss a little spot. So when you go from red to another color, make sure you really clean out your brush. So now I'm just pulling this color out of the little stems. All these little stems like this. Put them all out of here. Okay, so now let's get in our florals. So these little guys that look big in the background. So we're going to be putting these in. Just right back in here, and maybe just up here too. And maybe we'll just put another one back in here. And then, where's the other one? So let's get this one. You know, and how many times have have you guys ever colored the stem? The blue, the floral color, and the flower, the green stem. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. So many. And I'm always like conscious of it, and I still do it sometimes. Okay, so now I've got our little flowers in the background. They're so cute. With their big leaves. And then we're going to take these little ones, and we're going to add some of these in. This little stamp, it makes a great floral, and it also makes a great little leaf. So we can just add some water to it, like so. And now we can add those leaves down in from the corner. So let's bring these in. So I'm using my same green, and I'm just going to bring these down like this. You know what, let's just do one more kind of in here. And then add the water to it. And then we don't want to erase all the definition of the leaves, but we just want to kind of soften it up. In the background. And back over here. Just kind of follow those lines. You can see where the path kind of comes down. So let's add our little flowers in here and our little grasses into this section. So we're going to use this little accent, grass. And I'm just going to kind of stamp it in here, just randomly. And probably could fit another one over there. And I really don't have to add too much water to it. I mean, I could add just a little bit, but it's more of an accent, so it's really kind of made to stamp over the top of things. And then let's add the little flower. And red. And maybe we just put one over here. And I almost colored it with the green, you guys. I almost did it after I just said that. Let's do this one in here. Okay. Now I'm going to take this off so we can kind of see what we have. See our little scene right here. And then I'm going to add a little water now to the little florals. Like so. And make sure I've got all of my little mushroom caps colored. Okay, looking good. All right, so now let's erase these lines. Get that all off of there. Let's see if we need to add anything else. Got enough little greenery in here. We don't need too much. Okay, now let's put in the white dots. And I'm just going to use my number 4. And I'm just going to get enough on the tip. And just make these little. And I'm just, you know what? I need to just add a little bit more water in here. You know, when you, if you can't move the paint and it looks like it's too globby, just add a little water to it. It really makes a difference. Just a tiny bit. Just off the tip of your brush. This is what makes it look so, makes it look whimsical, I think. Putting all these little white dots in. And, of course, we need the big mushroom house. This has got to have the white. Okay, like so. And, you know, I got to have just some white flowers in here. Like it's just, you know, it's tucked away in its little garden. Little whimsical house. Okay. I think that was pretty good. So let me just get my other little mushrooms here. And let's get these little dots on. And this one. Okay, we got those done, and I don't think this little guy really needs anything. I think we've got, we could put just a little highlight on his hat. Maybe just over here. Other than that, I don't think he needs any white paint on him. So let's just finish up this one now. We've got all the little dots on here. So let's go in. We just need to go in with the twin tone and just kind of darken underneath where these little caps attach. And just get a little darker line under here. These little guys are just so cute. I don't know, putting the mushrooms in just kind of changes everything. It's just, it immediately makes it look whimsical, doesn't it? Okay, I think we've got that pretty much done. I don't see anything else really that needs to be added. So let's get this all into the journal. So let's get it assembled. I'm going to move everything out of the way. Give it just another second to dry while we're getting everything else out. And I'm going to glue this little guy together. So we're just going to take these like this. And I'm going to get my glue out and get this little guy glued together. And I always started the feet. And then just kind of get the feet all squared away, and then I just kind of move my way up. And then it just fits. There he is. He'd be so cute just tucked in a pocket as well. You know, he's just kind of waving hi. So cute. So this little guy's done. And these, so let's get all of our pages. So here's all the pages. I went ahead and cut them all out. So we're ready to just assemble. And let's get the journal. Do you know what? There's never enough workspace. Does that happen to you guys? And I have a giant table, and it's just always covered in stuff. And I'm impatient, so I just want to move on to the next thing before I get everything cleaned up. So I don't know if that's you, or if that's just us crafters in general. Okay, so now we did these 2 pages, so I'm going to go ahead and add on that little pocket here that I added on the journal that I completed, because I just feel like it's necessary. It's just necessary. So here is the score line. Here is the score line. And then this little tab folds over. And this little tab folds over. Like so. And then its these 2 are glued to this one. So let's get the glue out here. And these little pockets just come together so slick. And then hold it just for a second. This glue, by the way, dries so fast. I don't know if you are looking for glue, but oh my goodness, this was referred to me, and it's the best tip I ever got. Look how well used this bottle is. I mean, it's just, I use it all the time. So art glitter, I just bought it on Amazon, and it is great because it dries really, really quick. So now I'm just going to add some glue to the back. And just put it right in the center. And then, we can add some little bugs to it if we want to. Check out the tutorial. So on Facebook, Kendra did a full tutorial on that mushroom cubby set and showed you how to color all those little insects. So check that out. If you want to use those in your journal and you're not sure how to color them, just go to that tutorial. I'm going to say it's about a month ago, and it's still archived on there. So now let's go to the next page, and this is the page that has the little fence. So if you're going to add this, you do have to think ahead a little bit. You don't want to put your page in first because you can't run it through your cutter. So you have to cut out your opening before you put your page into your journal. And let me just zoom out a little bit because I feel like it's too close now. You have to cut this out. And in order to cut it out and have it all line up, you have to glue your accent page to the front and the back. So you want to just do that all at once, glue your front to the back and your back, and then cut out the opening. And once you've got that done, now you can glue your page in. Okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our little fence to this. And I have those cut out already. So front and back. So you want to cut two. One goes on the front, and then you want a finished one on the back side because it's a front and back. So you want to be able to see a finished fence on the back of your page as well. So what I found, the easiest way to do this and get it lined up is to add your glue to your fence like this. And you could add a little bit to your, actually you don't need it yet. That was a mistake. Don't do that. So we're at the other one. No, it's okay though. Okay, so what I do then is I center the opening over the fence like this. Do you see why we didn't need that glued in the middle yet? So now I can see exactly where the center is, and I know that on the other side it's going to be glued on it. It's going to be perfect. So that seems to work the best for me, and I can see that it's all centered and even. Now this one lines up with the fence that's on here. So this one's easy to do because you're just going to line it up with the other fence because it's the same die, so it's going to line up perfectly. And I already have a little bit of glue on here, but I'll just put a little bit more on. This is when you add it to your fence posts. And now you just line it up to the little fence that's in here already. And now you can see that is on there perfectly. So I just found that works the best for me, but if you have a better system, by all means, try that. So, okay, so now we can glue this into our page, into our journal. So I'm going to now put my glue on my page. On here. And it's going to fit snug just right in here, just right up against that other page. It's just going to fit right there. And remember, you want to see that flat part. So you want to make sure that there's space in between this one and the other one. So the lip of the page is going to be right in the middle. Okay, like that. And we can just go ahead and glue in our other page as well. So here's the other page. This is the third page that goes in here, and it's going to go right in behind here. So we might as well just glue this in. Let's just do that. Got our glue on there, and now we're just putting it in here like that. And this one's going to fit just snug up against here as well. So we'll just let those two dry. And in the meantime, let's get our accent page in here. And so this is, I just used this little leafy paper from the paper pack. Both, you could use either side. They both would be so cute. So there's a light one and then there's a dark one. And I just picked the dark one. And this little accent die for your accent page is in the basic journal set. So you have this, if you have the journal die set, you have this. So we just glue that in like that. And then our little frames, these little guys, and you can kind of just space them however. I just kind of guess, you know, if you want to really measure and make sure that they're spaced evenly, mark the center, and then just, you can kind of eyeball it from the center. But, you know, most of the time, you know, the page isn't that big, so it's pretty easy to just kind of eyeball it. I do a lot of eyeballing, you know, just eyeball it. Okay, make sure that's straight, because that will bug me if that's not straight. Okay, so, and now let's put the other one in, and so it's going to go right underneath here like this one, underneath that one. And, you know, like I said earlier, you can cut these frames out of different paper if you want to. If you want a different, you know, like some kind of contrasting paper in the back, that'd be really cute too. I like the white, the simple. You know, I'm always going for the simple things, you know, the kind of, you know, the understated. But there's nothing wrong with making it, you know, more colorful too. And, you know, any paper that you pick, I mean, for any page is going to go together. So see your little canvases, they just fit perfectly in here. And these little projects, I mean, they just add so much. They just add so much. And they're so simple. Okay, so we got those little guys in. How easy was that? And then our little gnome is going to go on the front. So this is all dry now. So let's go ahead with our other little accent paper. And it's going to go right in here. Get the glue on there. And then this will go right centered on the page. I'll just line that up with the other side. I love this green stripe. I just love how all of these things just go together. It's what makes it so cute. And now our little scene, you know what? I never signed that, you guys. You know what? And as, you know, much as I make a big deal about that, I can't believe I didn't do that. Sign. You know what? Always sign. This is your own original art. So this little scene is going to go in here, just right in the center. Just put that right in the middle. And if you want to, you could put it up a little bit higher if you want to put a sentiment in underneath, you know, sending a little hello or something like that. But now you can see past it, and you can see your little scene back in here with all your little mushrooms. So cute. And let's just glue our little guy in. So let's just put the glue mostly on this side. It looks like this is the side here. And he is welcoming you to his little place. And that is it. We've gotten that page done. These little projects are just, they're so fun. They're so easy. I mean, really, that was pretty simple. It only takes a few stamps, you know, honestly, and then just break it down one step at a time and just add it in. So cute.